So if there is something that you should know about me, it's either I am all the way or not at all kind of person. So either I super plan and I'm like organized kind of list and I have everything I know, like everything I'm gonna say just listed out, or things I want to talk about, or not at all. And anyways, this is one of those not at alls. So, we recently posted on our Instagram, for people to comment on that picture, what they wanted to see of me and Adam individually, whether it's topics or any kind of videos. And our friend Kirsten, hi Kirsten, she requested a video on basically tips on long distance. And it's going to be interesting because I'm doing a video and I think Adam's going to try to do a video as well. Today's his last day in Minneapolis, so it might be a toss-up of when he'll be able to get that done. But, so I'm just going to wing it. So guys, if this is everywhere, sorry about it. That's just how we're going to roll today. And again, I'm at camp, so that's the background. And I'm just going to video this. I'm gonna upload like right after, so it's not gonna be fancy, but it's just gonna be me talking to you and us just hanging out. So first of all, I have a lot of experience with long distance. Most of my relationships, if not all, yeah, most of them have been long distance relationships. I'm not I'm not a professional at long distance relationships, but I've learned a lot through my through the years. And of course, what works in one relationship may not work in another. But with me and Adam, there's a lot of things that I implement, things that I've learned, and not just through dating relationships, but also friendships and things like that. There's a lot that we can learn through friendships that are long distance as well. And the first thing is communication. Communication is like just number one key. And what I mean by communication is you don't need to be texting all the time or calling all the time, or that's annoying for the people who are around you anyway. But communication as far as what you're expecting from that person, what you're hoping from that person, the communication that you hope to have with that person. I know that in the beginning of me and Adam's relationship, we had to communicate, especially since I had been in a long distance relationship and he had never been in a relationship. There's things that like I was used to and that he wasn't necessarily used to. I don't want to say dealing with, but you know what I mean? Like having to just think about how the other person functions as well. Because everybody functions so differently. So we both are kind of out of sight, out of mind people. Adam probably more so, but again, it's also because he's never been, this is his first relationship and his last love relationship. And yeah, so anyway, communication is key, what you're expecting from that person. At first I was like, he wasn't used to communicating in the morning. Good mornings and good nights are really important. It just starts off the day knowing that you slept through the night and you woke up in the morning and everything's good, everything's great. And then at night before you go to bed, you're safe, everything's all hunky-dory and you're on the same page, especially if you're going to bed at different times. It's kind of just good to know where the other person's at in their day. So good morning and good nights are really important. And I think another huge thing is trying to see them as much on like FaceTime or Skype or whatever it is. Face-to-face is huge. I know that Adam and I will be talking sometimes and like I'm just getting distracted. Either I'm like cleaning or I had been scrolling on Instagram and then I'm like getting in this weird like place where I'm like scrolling but I'm talking to him, which is just that's just not nice because that's not giving him like decent quality time. And that's my love language and that's his as well. So it's actually a lot easier to FaceTime because you're looking at that person, you're not doing anything else, you're just right there face to face. So that's really nice to be able to do. So I would definitely say prioritize face to face as much as possible when you're long distance. And then the other thing is when I call or when he calls me, even if we're like in the middle of a conversation or we're doing something, it's really wonderful, really nice to be able to, when he is calling me and I'm busy or whatever, I do pick up, and that way and I'm just like, hey, how you doing? Okay, well, you know what, I'm actually busy right now. I'm blah, 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 I'm doing this. I love you. Can I call you back in 5, or can I, whatever, I'll call you back in an hour or whatever it is. But that way he knows that like I'm prioritizing him. Even though he's not here, he's still my priority and like taking care of his needs and his emotions. And I know it just makes me feel so special when he does that. Like sometimes I even enjoy that, because sometimes I'm calling him and I'm just like wanting to say hey, and if he just picks up and says hey, that's really all I want anyway. To hear his voice and move on with the day. So I would say that for sure. If you can't pick up and talk at that moment, still pick up and just say, hey, I'll call you back. I mean, sometimes you can't, you know what I mean? But for the most part, I think that is really key. And let me think. There's something else that came to my head and I'm trying to remember what it was. Simple texts here and there, reminding them like I love you, and just random like sweet notes, making an effort. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So there are times, especially when you've been apart from each other for a while, that when you are kind of doing your own thing, you get kind of used to just doing your own thing and not putting yourself into another world, which is like that person who's away from you. It's hard to keep that going after like a couple weeks, you know, if there's been a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's hard to keep doing that, to keep being like, so what are you doing and what's going on in your life, and here's what's going on in mine. I know I'm really bad at communicating what's going on in mine. I'm interested in his, but it's hard to be like, okay, and here's what I went through, because I'm very much like present-minded, and so is he. So we both really have to work at it. But what I was gonna say is, there are so many times that you're like, I just don't have, you know, you think that like, I don't have time to call and text all the time, blah, blah, blah. And you don't need to do that. Like, that's annoying to be on your phone all the time. But when you do have the opportunity and you're just like by yourself, whether walking from A to B, or you're, you finally get alone time, you're like, okay, I'm going to scroll through Facebook or scroll through Instagram or whatever it is. When you're just in that mindless moment, that's a great opportunity to be like, okay, that's when you do have to die to yourself in a way, of your own, what you think you need in that moment, with it, which is just like brain, like, what is it called? When you're just like, you're like brain dead whenever you're like scrolling. I have to not be selfish with that time. I need to call him and be like, hey, I actually have time right now. I need to go out of my way and do that. Even if I don't necessarily want to talk at that moment. Because there are weeks that are so busy that it's hard to find the time, but there is time. There is always time, because there's always time to scroll through Instagram, right? There's always time to look at something just real quick. And again, even those quick little conversations mean so much. So yeah, taking time even whenever you don't feel like it. And then, but also just trying to be very present in where you are at the moment. If you're playing cards or doing things like that, like, I'll probably respond to text because I'm a quick texter. But, you know, I don't want to be looking at my phone all the time. I don't want to be like searching for something, looking for something. That's just not cool. It's not polite, or it's not good for your mind to be so everywhere all the time. But to be very focused on what it is you're doing at the moment, you know? But at the same time, being kind and aware of the other person. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of hard. I'm kind of saying opposite things, but hopefully you can find some truth and some good tips in there. Yeah, and then doing something together, that's another tip, which is interesting. Like, play some sort of game on your phone together, which we don't do, but we have our channel, which is really cool that we're able to communicate about that. Like, oh, okay, I uploaded a video, I uploaded a picture. Can you do this? Can you do that? We kind of have this thing together that we have, that we work on even when we're apart. So that's really nice. So whether it's a game or whether it's, I don't even know what else you do, some sort of, there's long distance apps, I think. Pretty sure there is. I used to have one. But yeah, so those are just a couple tips. I could go on and on and on. But that's probably the most, I guess, helpful ones for me. Prioritizing and not being selfish with my time. If I'm just scrolling, gonna call him. Communication, hey, this is what I'm needing from you. Hey, I've really been having a hard day. Communicate where you're at emotionally, even in your own day, so that like if I have had a really bad day, I'm gonna tell him. Or if I'm feeling depressed, this like just happened, I was like, I'm really dealing with some like feeling depressed about certain things, or I'm feeling really anxious or whatever. I'm able to communicate that so that when we talk and I act in a certain way or I'm responding in a certain way, he knows why and he's understanding. No excuse to act out on anything, but he understands where I'm coming from. So communicating what's going on even in your own day. Talking, knowing that it's not just based out of emotion. You won't just talk when you just want to talk. You need to prioritize it. And then you also need to be present with the people you're around. And yeah, so just kind of everything I said. Like I said, I am everywhere. I didn't plan this, and my mind just literally just grabs at things. So I hope some of this made sense to you guys. And I hope you get something out of this. If you are in a long distance relationship, or have been, or know somebody who is, and you know some good advice, leave that in the comments below so that I can learn from you and Adam can learn from you, and we can just all learn from each other, because nobody's perfect and there's always room to grow. So yeah, anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for asking for this video, Kirsten, and we'll talk soon. Bye. Love you.